My name is Lindsay and I'm a Human Resources Director here at CJ Pony Parts. I met Jim a few years ago, actually at the last company I worked for. He came in and walked us through the process of the values and creating a culture, and I really liked the process that he did there. And when I came here as the Human Resources Director, I kind of brought him with me to do that same process here at CJ Pony Parts. I would say Jim is a very likable guy, and he's kind of what I would call a little bit of a chameleon, because I think he kind of fits into a lot of different groups depending on who he's working with, because we have a pretty fun, can be pretty sarcastic group here, and he just fit right in. I think having Jim being that likable guy and being able to kind of rally the management team here, I think they bought into the process a little bit more. I think they were a little weary kind of coming into it, like, how's this guy who doesn't know our business is going to come in, tell us what we need to do differently and make changes. How does he know what we need? And I think building that relationship that Jim built with the management team, even the employee base as he went through and met with everybody, I think that made a big impact. So the process began, he met with the management team first, and that was about 10 or 12 people, so pretty much the people who have anybody who reports into them. And we worked with that group and helped to decide what do our values mean to us, what are our values, and kind of what do they mean to us at CJ Pony Parts. And then after we decided what those values are and how we wanted to define them, Jim kind of met with every single employee. We did it in groups of about 10 people at a time, and we sat and went through every single employee and offered them the chance to give their input on what the values meant to them. So as they did that, we collected all the information from all the employees, brought that back in front of to the management team, and they kind of made a summary of it and made it look nice and pretty. What I felt was missing before Jim got here was a sense of cohesiveness. There was a bunch of different management styles going on. There was not really a clear standard for behaviors, for making decisions, and everybody kind of had their own goals. Goals were kind of individualized, departmentalized, not necessarily all kind of going together, marching in the same direction towards the same overall goals for the business. So I think bringing him in has definitely helped bring a sense of cohesiveness where we all kind of have that same standard. So the culture before Jim came was kind of one that really kind of was what it was. It wasn't a very deliberate culture, it wasn't an intentional culture, so it kind of just was one that just kind of started out of just the people who were here. In the role of HR, I hear a lot from individual employees, and there was a sense of frustration on their part where it was, depending on who they were dealing with or who they were talking to or whatever the situation that they were working through was, there was always a different standard or a different this or that, and there was no real clear direction on their behalf. So I know that the employee base felt sort of frustrated by that. What we did is we started an Innovation Ideas program where it gives employees the voice to kind of come forward with the ideas that they think are going to make the business better, things that they're going to make processes more efficient, even cost savings, so even down to the financials. And when we first launched that program, just the first day we had an overwhelming amount of responses of people who had all these great ideas, and it was really cool to see, the amount of time employees put into their thought and their idea, and even, kind of running company financial numbers, and it was just really cool to see. So I would chalk that up to probably one of the really cool successes that we've seen here so far. It gives them the opportunity to have a voice and to hear that their opinion or their idea is being thought about and being looked at. Because I do believe before we went through this culture process that the employees did feel like there wasn't really an avenue for them to speak up or a place to put their ideas out there, and they were just kind of stuck doing the frustrating parts of their jobs, even though they knew they could do it better. So I think it gives them a sense of feeling of people care. People care what I have to say, and they want to know how I feel. One of my favorite characteristics about Jim is just his true, genuine feeling that he puts forward. You could meet Jim off the street, and I think anybody who would stand and talk to him for any amount of time would feel like he was just a very genuine person. And I thought that went a long way, at least on my behalf, because throughout the whole process, I think Jim and I probably worked the most closely together as he helped me kind of organize and get people on the same page with all the process. He spent a lot of time here with us, and he went further than any consultant ever really needed to, with offering some advice on some other issues we may have had, or just really taking a genuine interest to see our company succeed. He definitely went beyond his role as a consultant, and he became a friend, he became a trusted confidant, and he honestly, I'd go as far to say, is he really felt like he was an employee here at CJ's. He was very, very vested in watching us succeed, and took it as a personal interest of his, and that was the best part about working with Jim. The biggest impact that going through this process did for us was, it put us all on the same page. We're marching in the same direction, and we have a very clear standard of life at CJ's, and it's taught us how to work well internally with each other. It's helped us create an identity externally for our customers and our vendors, and having all of that defined and being a very clear view of what's expected in our values and how we treat each other, and marching together towards the same goal has really made our team unstoppable. And I feel like there's no problem that our team can't figure out now.